Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Roshan Alkhairi. I'm from Class C. I'm going to present my analysis on the story entitled Moelu and the Fish.
I'm Yusriana Haris.
My name is Jumriani Nadia Putri.
Moelu and the Fish tells a story of a young boy who lives with his mother. His name is Moelu. One day, Moelu managed to catch a tiny fish in the river. He then gave the fish a name and made it his pet. Unexpectedly, this fish had a unique ability. It could grow bigger if it was placed in wider waters. How surprised Moelu was when he saw a fish turn into a giant size in the sea. 3 men who were Moelu's neighbors saw the giant fish from a distance. They wanted to do something bad to the fish. Unfortunately, Moelu was not aware of their presence, which made him feel that everything was fine. The next morning, the 3 men killed the giant fish with a spear and brought it home to be their meal. Moelu went to the sea and caught his beloved pet several times shortly after. However, his pet did not come to the surface, which made him sad and decided to go home. Moelu accidentally passed the house of the 3 men on his way home and realized that there was a party at the house. One of them, who saw Moelu in front of the house, immediately invited Moelu to join the party. Moelu accepted the invitation. How shocked he was when he saw his beloved pet had become a fragrant meal. He became so sad that he could not say anything. Before he left the house, he took one of his pet bones as a souvenir. He buried it in the yard when he got home. On the following day, a beautiful tree surprisingly emerged from where he buried the bone. The leaves and branches were gold. Moelu picked and sold them after realizing the miracle. Since then, Moelu and his mother became rich and lived happily ever after.
Introduction is at the beginning of the story. Racing action occurs when 3 neighbors manage to kill fish with a spear. The climax in the story is on the event where Moelu discovers the fact that his favorite fish has been eaten by 3 of his neighbors. Following action occurs when a miracle suddenly becomes a reality after Moelu buries fish bone. And finally, the resolution is on the situation where Moelu and his mother become rich thanks to the miracle they got. Events in the story take place in the past, morning, and following day. Furthermore, they take place in the river, neighbor's house, seacoast, and home. Characters is Moelu's mother, and the neighbor. Moelu, he is kind and patient when it comes to waiting while fishing. Even he was very patient when he found out that the fish at his neighbor party was his fish that was moved to the sea, Jinande Teremembunga. Moelu's mother, she is very good at educating her children to be patient and not vindictive. The neighbor, they are bad people. They took Jinande in the sea without the knowledge of the owner. They even invited Moelu and his mother to their party and served Jinande.
There is conflict external dan conflict internal. Conflict external, when someone look at Moelu, call it and give me the food to the guy, get a fish, and the person was the neighbor of the house of Moelu. Then they plan to catch get a fish. They say, let's catch the fish tomorrow. You know the fish name, right? You call out the fish and name, and after that I will throw a spear. After the fish is died, We can cook and eat for the whole family, said one man. Yes, three of them were brothers. They wanted to kill the fish and cook for their family. Early in the morning, the three men went to the sea. One of them called out the fish name. When the gate a fish appeared, one man threw a spear. It hit the fish. The fish was bleeding terribly and slowly it died. The three men brought the fish home. Meanwhile, Halamilo went to the sea. He called out the fish name several times, but the fish did not appear. Halamilo was sad. Went home. He visited his neighbor house. He showed they were having a party. Yes, they were eating the catfish. They invite Lamailo to join them. He accepts thereafter. And then the conflict internal. When Lamailo showed the fish, he was shocked. He recognized his fish. He was so sad that he could not say anything. He left the house. When Lamailo showed the fish, he was shocked. He recognized his fish. He was so sad that he could not say anything. He left the house. He grabbed one a fish bone. He wanted to bury the fish properly, and after that, Lamailo buried the fish bone.
I think the them is human and fish who love each other.
I want to explain the plot. I'm going to start with the introduction. Characters in the story are introduced in this section, including Moelu, mother, father, fish, and three neighbors. Setting is introduced in section as well. At the beginning of the story, we immediately realize that the story happened in the past because the author uses the signal once upon a time and she uses the past tense to tell the story. We can also find the primary conflict here, in which three neighbors intend to do something evil to the fish. Next, rising action. Three neighbors have done what they planned in this section. They managed to kill the giant fish and bring it home. Meanwhile, Moelo felt sad because the fish did not appear even though it had been called several times. Here we can see that the primary conflict, which was introduced at the beginning, becomes more complex and becomes more tense and complicated. Next, climax. Here the conflict reaches its peak, which makes the tension in the story higher than before. In this section, Moelo found out that his fish was being served at a party held at his neighbor's house. As a result, he could not say anything because of the great sense of loss and sadness. He then took a fish bone and went home. Next, falling action. This section contains a situation where the conflict has begun to subside after reaching a climax and is almost towards a resolution. Moelu saw a miracle after burying the bone. A beautiful tree suddenly grew from the grave. It had golden leaves and branches which made Moelu want to sell them. Although the tension of the conflict still exists, the main character at least has passed the climax, which causes problem solving to slowly progress. And finally, the resolution. Here we find out how a conflict has been resolved, which determines the fate of the characters in the story. We can see that the main character and his mother get a happy ending thanks to the beautiful tree buried in the yard. They became rich because of the way they traded the fish. Meanwhile, three neighbors get nothing at the end of the story. So the story takes place in the past because the author uses the past tense to tell a story. Morning is the time when Moelu and three neighbors go to sea. The golden tree grows in the yard on the following day. The river is the place where Moelu gets a fish while fishing. The neighbor's house is the place where the party is held.
From this story, we can take a moral message, namely, the premise of compassion between fellow characters. This trait is shown by the behavior of Lomailo, who really loves Jinande Teremombonga by feeding him every day. Because of Lamailo's fainted and generous nature, he finally lived a prosperous and happy life with his mother.
My opinion about this story is that if we want something that is not ours, it would be better if we ask permission from the owner if we want to have it. If the owner doesn't give it, then accept it. Maybe the thing he has is something that is very valuable to him.
My opinion, I think this story is interesting because judging from the plot, from beginning to end in the sequence, this Lomailo folk talk has a forward and clear plot so that the reader doesn't not feel bored. Beside that, there are a lot of moral message that we can take from the start. Even though his life was tough, he never complained. From this mind, character learned to love God's follow characters. He takes God care of and care for Jinjan Teremombonga, who is his pet fish. This story also teach you to always be filial and obey the word of your parents. Lamail always asks for his mother's permission and opinion and takes his advice. He never once denied his mother.
I share my opinion about the story. I think the story is quite interesting and inspiring. The story has a good theme and keeps the reader emotionally attached. Furthermore, I think the author teaches us to love animals because animals actually have feelings just like us. Our fate could end up like the main character if we treat them properly. Alright, I think that's all for me. Thank you very much for the attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.